Most combat-based video games have a wide variety of enemies to test your skills. Even outside of boss fights, you'll have enemies that will attack you, chase you, push you, trap you, trick you, and even serenade you. But in MegaMan Battle Network 2 and 3, there are sets of enemies that do absolutely nothing except sit in place. And these enemies also happen to be the strongest enemies in the series. Today we're going to go over what these enemies are, why they're so strong, and how you can beat them, since they're a lot harder than they look. As mentioned before, all enemies in the game are there to test your skills. While most enemies in the Battle Network series test your reflexes and strategies, two sets of enemies test your patience and knowledge of the game's strongest mechanics. The enemies in question are Protecto and Numbers. Both of these viruses have similar behaviors. First, both of them are encountered in post-game areas, and you cannot run away from the fight once it starts. This almost makes them feel like boss battles you would see in the story. You either have to win, lose, or reset your game to the last save. For that reason, it's highly recommended that you save often while traveling in the post-game areas. Second, they need to be deleted in one clean shot. If you fail to deplete all of their HP in one attack, they'll automatically regenerate as if no damage was done at all. Multi-hit attacks are completely useless against them. It has to be one single strike. Third, if there are multiple copies of them on the field, they need to be deleted all at once, otherwise they'll still regenerate. Finally, there's no battleship data associated with them in any game. The results screen will always give you Zenny, so there's no need to worry about a high busting rank here. The real prize is opening a new path or getting the special mystery data that's hiding behind them. Now it's time to talk about each individual enemy to point out their differences. The Protecto family are found in MegaMan Battle Network 2, and the Numbers family are found in MegaMan Battle Network 3. Protecto viruses are hidden encounters, meaning that you can't see them in the overworld. They behave in the same vein as the ghost navis on the net. Once you walk on a specific tile, you'll instantly be thrown into a battle against them, and unlike random encounters, these are set matches that will always be the same. Once you've begun the battle, the number 10 will appear on them. It'll gradually count down to 0, and when it does, the entire field explodes. You can use defensive chips to block it, and that's recommended while you shuffle through your folder to find your win condition. The damage they deal is higher than any enemy in Battle Network 2. The only boss that comes close is the strongest version of Base, whose Earthbreaker attack does 300 damage. And it just matches Protecto 2's explosion. The Numbers viruses appear in the overworld in Battle Network 3, so thankfully, you can see them before you initiate the battle. These viruses don't have a countdown feature during their fight, so if you don't act, they truly will sit there and do nothing. But if they take a hit that fails to delete them, even from your Mega Buster, you'll get struck by lightning that pierces all defenses and does 1,000 damage. No, even Buster Max mode won't save you. These enemies need to be deleted together, all at once. Or do they? The Numbers viruses have a really unique feature. While they do have upgraded variants like most viruses, that really only affects their HP, because when you fight the Numbers viruses, you might notice that more than one number will appear on the field. For example, one of them might have the number 2, and the rest will have the number 1. In order to win, you'll need to delete them in numerical order, starting with the 1s before you can successfully move on to the 2s, and so on. Also, if you happen to hit a higher number with the same attack that deletes the lower ones, you'll still get punished. Keep that in mind while planning your folders. In case you're wondering, those numbers that deal 1000 damage, that is the highest amount of damage in the entire series, and possibly the entire franchise, outside of deliberately unwinnable fights. The only Battle Network attacks that come close to reaching those levels from the upgraded versions of Base and the final bosses in later games. Even then, they're shy by about 400 points. So how do you actually beat these viruses? Naturally, you'll want to have an attack that deals a lot of damage, but it'll also need to spread across the field. The weaker versions of Protecto and Numbers can be beaten by Navi chips like Proto Man, but the stronger versions are going to need program advances and similar combos. Be aware that popular program advances like Gator and Bodyguard won't actually be effective here, since they are multi-hit attacks. Try to stick to the ones that have a fixed damage value. In Battle Network 2, Life Sword 3 is actually one of the best program advances to beat Protecto 3, although you need to power it up a little bit with Attack Plus chips. You can also try using the Gospel Breath patch card chips if you truly can't think of anything else. When it comes to Battle Network 3, I personally recommend using a Grass Stage chip with a Heat Spread program advance. While these viruses have no elemental weakness, fire attacks deal double damage on grass panels. Heat Spread normally does 300 damage, and if you use it in Attack Plus 30, it'll be strong enough to delete Numbers G easily. It also doesn't hurt to equip battle chips like Fast Gauge and Full Cuss to speed things up, especially if you're fighting Protectos. If you can think of any other tips and tricks to beat these viruses, feel free to share them with others in the comments below.